So, hello everyone. Today we're going to discuss this important problem from HackerRank, which is roads and libraries. The key feature about this question is that this question directly itself is asked in a few interviews, but the concept that it is based upon is asked in almost every interview, whether that be in the coding round, in the interview round, or in some pen and paper round. The concept that this question based upon is currently a very hot topic. So if you understand this question today, you'll be able to solve 80% of those questions. The remaining part is going to be question specific, but the boilerplate code of it can be reused in all those questions. So I'll be discussing that in depth, and I'll also be explaining you the question specific part, of course. So if you like today's video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and press that bell icon since I'll be posting a lot more videos. So let's dive right into it. So you can pause the video and read this part of the question here. Right. I'll also be discussing it in a few moments, so don't worry about it, even if you don't read it. And also don't forget to read this part. I'll discuss the function description and input format as well. Right. So I hope that you've read the question. So let's move on and understand what the question is saying and how can we approach it. So what the question says is that you're given a city, you're given multiple cities like this, right? And some of these cities are connected by broken roads. So suppose let's say these three cities are connected by this kind of a network, right? And these two cities are connected by this kind of a network, right? Now what your objective is that you have to build some libraries and some roads, right? Now how these libraries and roads have to be built is that citizens of each city should have access to a library, at least one library. Now what does that mean? How can a citizen have access to a library is that if his own city has a library or some city that he can travel to has a library. So the citizens of this city can travel to this city and this city as well, right? Similarly, citizens of this city can travel to this city, but you can see there is no broken road here or no connection here. So having a library here will not give access to a library to these cities, right? So now what is the question asking? Question is asking the minimum cost so that every city has access to at least one library. Now what we are given in the question are the following things. First of all, we are given n, the number of cities. We are given the cost to build one library, the cost to build one road, and this cities is a 2D matrix, right? It's a 2D matrix like this, and at each row it represents, suppose there's a number x here and number y here, and what this x and y represents is that x and y are connected with each other, and this is a bidirectional road, bidirectional, right? So this is what is given to us in the question, right? And the input format will be, there are going to be q queries and they're going to be separated in each other. Let's discuss the input format also, just for the sake of it, although this is a function description problem, so we don't need to concern ourselves with it, but let's just do it. So n here, you can see n here is the number of cities, m is the number of roads, this is the cost of a library, this is the cost of a road, and then this ui and vi, this is city of I comma 0, cities array of I comma 0, and this is cities array of I comma 1, right? So that's what is given to us. That cities, I have misspelled the cities, that's okay, we're not concerned with spelling here, right? So this is the input format. So now let's talk about how to solve this problem. So the approach that we're going to use to solve this problem is DFS, which is depth first search, and we can also solve this using BFS or DSU or whatever. You can look at this. This is an impressive approach, but why am I using DFS is because this is the most common approach. This is, you could say, sort of efficient as well, and this could be replicated in more number of problems, right? So that is why I have chosen to discuss this particular approach. So let's talk about how we're going to do this. So let's talk about the steps to solve this problem. Now we are given this cities array like this. The first step will be to convert this cities array into a graph. Why? Why are we converting this 2D matrix into a graph? Is that so that we know what all cities are connected indirectly. So suppose this city and this city is connected, this information is present in this matrix, but the citizens of this city can also travel to this city. We'll only know only through a graph, right? Because now we'll know that this and this city are connected by an indirect path passing through this city in the middle, right? So that is why we have to build a graph. How to build a graph, I'll just show you in the code and you'll understand, right? And it has to be an undirected graph again, right? Once we've built this graph, what is the next step? The next step is actually very simple. Let me just rub out this matrix. Now we have to judge two things, right? Whether to suppose once we've built this graph, now I have two options, right? Either to build a library in one of these and connect all the other roads, one library plus all the other roads. I'll discuss how many roads in a moment. All the other roads, or build a library in each of these cities, a library in each city, right? So how do we decide this? So let's talk about this. So for each component like this in a graph, each connected component, what we will do, we'll find the size of the component. So let's say its size is some n, right? And I choose one particular node, it won't matter which node, I just build a library in that city, right? City or node. Let's say I built a library in this. So how many roads do I need to build? So can I say 1, 2, 3, right? And how many nodes were there? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for n cities, I am building n minus 1 roads, right? Or I am building exactly n libraries. So I have to find the minimum cost of making either n libraries or one library plus n minus 1 roads, right? There will also be some cities which are not connected to any other city. So let's say this is a single city. Now, do I have the option to build a road? No, I do not have the option to build a road. So for this kind of a city, I have to build a library in it, right? Now, can I say that this part basically has now been divided into two further parts? First of all, calculate size of each component, and then apply this formula and find the minimum of these two. So third step is find minimum. Now this part, step number 1 and 2 are basically my boilerplate. What does this mean? Is that this part is going to stay standard in all those questions which use similar concept, while this third step is question specific, right? So this part is same for all the questions that are based on this traversal of where we have to find components, and this finding the minimum part is just based upon this question. So I'll also post some links in the description where this concept is used so that you'll understand it better, right? So you can solve those questions and you'll see that this two steps will remain common and this third step will modify according to the question. So in the description below you'll find links to those questions, so do check them out as well. So moving on, let's understand the code part so that this approach is more clear now. So this is the code for it, and this entire code plus a function dfs which I'll discuss, the calling is here. So let's just first start discussing, and so basically I'll also mark this here that this part is 1 and 2 and this part is 3, right? So this is the question specific part, and this entire part is going to remain same for all those questions. So let's start discussing it. So in the question I'm given 1 base indexing, right? That city number 0 does not exist, but city number 1 and exists, and 1 to n exists. So I've taken a vector of size n, vector of vector actually. So this is a vector of vector. And what is this storing? So for any v of I, it is storing the nodes which are connected to it. So this is basically an adjacency list. An adjacency list, right? So this is the adjacency list. Now how to construct this adjacency list? Let's talk about that. So as I mentioned that in the question we are given the city's 2D matrix, in which it is given that this city is connected with this city. So that's what I've done. In the first step, I push this node into the adjacency list of this node, and then I push this node into the adjacency list of this node. So this is basically an undirected graph. An undirected graph. Alright. So that's what I've done in this loop, and I've run this for cities.size, that is the size of this 2D matrix. Alright. Now next what? So this components will store the size of each component. Each component's size will be stored in this vector. This visited is again a vector of size n plus 1, right? Size n plus 1, right, from 0 to n plus 1, and it stores whether the current node is visited or not. You'll understand this when I discuss the DFS function, that what this visited is maintaining. I'll just discuss it in a brief here, right? So what this storing, that suppose when I'm traversing this graph, and when I'm traversing for this node, I go to this node and then I go to this node. But for the adjacency list of this node is also present in it, right? Since I have discussed that this is an undirected graph, so so that I don't visit this node again, that is why I keep a check here, right? Don't worry, I'll discuss the DFS part when I'm discussing this function, the recursive calls of it. Don't worry, right? So what I've done here, else if part. So this is for single cities. So what if there is no city connected to it? Then there's no point making a DFS call to it. So sending this graph will give me an error if I try and sending this node, right? Because it's an empty. It's so suppose let's say for 8, if there's a city which is not connected to it, nothing has been pushed in its vector. When nothing has been pushed in its vector, sending this node will give me an error. So for this, I separately handle this and make the size of this component as 1. Right. So that's what I've done here. Now let's talk about the DFS function and I'll explain how the DFS function is working. So this is the most important part of this. So make sure that you're completely attentive for this part. So this is the code for it. So what I'm doing is that I'm sending a source, and now that I've sent the source, I mark it as true. So let's discuss it for this small output, right? So suppose this is a source node that I'm starting my traversal with. I mark it as visited, that I visited this node. I do not revisit it, right? So I initialize a variable answer to 1. So what does this variable actually hold is the size of the component with current node as source. Current node as source. You'll understand it in a moment. What does this statement mean? So this stores the size of the component with the current node as source. Right. So now let's discuss that how is this function actually returning this, right? So what I do is that I start traversing the adjacency list of this source node. So what will it have? That V of SRC in it will have another vector which will have nodes that are adjacent to this node. So I start traversing along this vector. So this is another vector, right, that I have made. It was a 2D vector. Here also you can see this is a vector. So I start traversing this. Now what do I do? Is this node visited right now? This node? No. So if this node is not visited, I visit this node and find out the size of the component with this node as source. Now this becomes my current node for my DFS call. You can see that V of SRC of I is this, and now this becomes my new source node. And what will this return? This will return the size of the component with this as the source node. Similarly, once DFS call is going to be for this node, and this is also going to return the size of its component further. Now in its DFS call, you see there are no more further components. So from here, it will return 0. Right. Now this, what will this node return? This node will return answer, and for this node's DFS call, answer was initialized to 1. So this returns 1. Similarly, this returns 1. And for this, answer was initialized to 1, and this has returned 1. This is 1 plus 1 plus 1 from here, which is equal to 3. So ultimately here, answer has stored the value 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is the size of the component with this node as source. And we can see here the size of the component with current node as source. And at the end, I have returned answer. So answer, finally, what has answer stored here? So finally, answer has stored the size of the component. Right? So this is what answer has stored. And this is what I needed. I needed the size of the component. So I have gotten that, and that is what has been returned. So now let's go back to the original function. Right? So here, ultimately, what will I be having? That for any comps of I will be having the size of this component. The size of the component, or the ith component's size, because this could be like 1, 2, 3 are together. Then the second here will be the component with value 4, right? So this basically is that this is a vector comps which stores the size of various different components. And finally, I initialize my answer to 0. So make sure that you initialize it to long int, because my return size is long and the final answer is quite large. And what is this here? This line is quite important. This line is question specific. Question specific, as I talked about it previously, that it contains two parts. One which is the boilerplate part, which was this, and this is the question specific part. Right. So question specific part, how? Now, once I have the size of the component, for each component, I decide that which is minimum, building library in each city or building n minus 1 roads plus 1 library, as we discussed in the approach part. This is exactly the same relation, and then finally I return my answer. So this was the entire code for it, and let's just understand it once more. So what I've done is that I have calculated the number of size of each component, right? And then what I've done, when I, for those components which were singletons, which were single, right, which had no roads with them, for them I have initialized their size as 1. You can see in this else if statement, right? If v of size is equal to 0, comps dot push back 1. Otherwise, in my DFS function, I find the size of the component, and then finally this question specific part, that I find the minimum cost whether to build n libraries or 1 library and n minus 1 roads, right? So this is the code, and let's try and submitting it on HackerRank, right? So let's submit the code. So you can see that this is running these test cases, and all of the test cases have passed. So safely we can say that our code was correct. So again, I wanted to have a look at this boilerplate code, this DFS part. This is the important part. Formation of graph could be different in a lot of questions, but this DFS part of finding the size of the component is going to remain the same. So in the description below, you'll find some questions which are related to this approach. So you should definitely practice them. And that's all from my side for today. So if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and press that bell icon, since I'll be posting a lot more interview questions. So thank you for joining in and keep coding, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.